My name is Sharon Rendine from the Connellsville Lions Club. I want to welcome you tonight for our last Sunday evening together with the concert series this summer. I want to take a moment to thank everyone for coming tonight, coming all summer. It's been a great time together, everybody having fun, dancing, enjoying the evening, enjoying downtown Connellsville. So thanks for everyone to coming all summer. We appreciate your support and coming to see us. Tonight we have the privilege, our grand finale, our Pes de Resistance, our crescendo. We're going to have the Wally Gingers Orchestra going to perform for us tonight. So let's give them a hand, thank them for coming, and welcome them tonight at Lions Square. All right, I want to take a moment to thank our sponsors as were kind enough to sponsor us so we would have this for our Connellsville community. I hope everyone appreciates it, and we hope you come back next year. Our sponsors for this year are the Greater Connellsville Chamber of Commerce, Southside Grocery, Suter & Sons Contracting, Donna Evans Realty, Atkins Music Center, Dr. John Ellis, Duncan Service, Scottdale Bank and Trust, Craig Appliance, Yawk River Trail Council, Stone & Company, Somerset Trust, Senator Pat Stefano, Domino's Pizza, George Pushcar State Farm Insurance, Bud Murphy's Sports Bar and Restaurant, the Connellsville Cultural Trust, and John A. Fiesta. I think we're going to have a beautiful evening. Remember, our concession stand open. Come back and get a hot dog or a root beer float, and have a great evening. Thank you for coming. Have a great summer evening. Thank you.
And welcome. This is our theme, You Darlin', which is your invitation to our performance here today. We have 2 hours of great big band music for you, so I hope you enjoy it. And feel free to get up and dance like the lady said. This is the Wally Gingers Orchestra. Thank you. All right, our first selection is a jazz standard that was performed and made famous by Duke Ellington, and he often used it as the closing numbers for his concerts. So here we go with our version of Satin Doll. All right. Thank you, by the way. Thank you. All right, our next selection is a song that was written about a jazz and blues club in Alabama. And it was one of the most successful recordings by Glenn Miller back in the early 40s. Here we go with Tuxedo Junction. All right, thank you. Thank you. Our next selection is an American popular song that achieved its greatest popularity in the 20s, believe it or not. It's also known as Has Anybody Seen My Girl? But we all know it as 5'2". And if you know the lyrics, you can sing along with Jay. Here we go, 5'2".
skies are blue, but oh, what those 5 foot can do. Has anybody seen my gal? Turned up nose, turned down hose, never had no other beaus. Has anybody seen my gal? Now if you run into a 5'2", covered with furs, diamond rings and all those things, I bet you my life it isn't her. But could she love, could she woo, could she coo? Has anybody seen my gal? Thank you, Connellsville. We're so happy to be here tonight. What a great evening. Thank you very much.
Okay, our next tune is actually a medley of 2 songs. First song is about a guy who watches his girl leave on a train and he promises to write. Al Jolson had the biggest hit with this song called Toot Toot Tootsie. And the second song of our 2-song medley was made a big hit by Judy Garland. She sang Zing Went the Strings. So here we go, 2-song medley, Toot Toot Tootsie and Zing Went the Strings. you. All right, our next selection is a big band era #1 hit recorded by American band leader Glenn Miller. And it became a pretty big hit for him. Hit #1 for 13 straight weeks back in the 40s. And his recording is one of the most recognized and most popular instrumentals of the 20th century. But I'm not going to tell you the title of the song. Let's see if you can guess it. Here we go with our next tune. 306.
Good.
Here we go. 1, 2. 1, 2, All right, what was the title of that song? In the Mood. Yeah, you got it. All right. Treat yourself to a Sunday float or something. I don't know. All right, our next selection This song was originally composed for. Nope, not yet. Yes. Our next selection was originally composed for a musical that came from Germany, I believe. It was introduced in America in the early 30s, but the musical was a flop. But one song from the musical was a pretty big hit. Let's see, Louis Armstrong had a hit with it, but it's more closely associated with Bobby Darin. We all know him. So here we go with our version of Mac the Knife.
Listen to that diesel. It's in tune.
Here we go, Mac the Knife. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, the shark has pretty teeth, dear, and it shows them pearly white. Just a jackknife has old McHeath, dear, and he keeps it far out of sight. When that shark bites with his teeth, dear, scarlet billows start to spread. Fancy gloves, though, wears old McHeath, dear, so there's never a trace of red. On the sidewalk, Sunday morning in Connellsville, lies a body just oozing life. Someone sneaking around the corner. Could that someone be Mac the Knife? From a tugboat by the York River, a cement bag's just drooping on down. That cement is just for the weight, dear. 5 will get you 10. Old Mackie's back in town. Old Louis Miller disappeared, babe, after drawing out his hard-earned cash. And McKeith spends just like a sailor. Did our boy do something rash? Jenny Diver, ho! Suki Tawdry, ho ho! Polly Peachum and old Lucy Brown. Oh, the line forms on the right, dear, now that Mackie's back in town. Look out, old Mackie is back. Thank you, thank you.
All right, our next tune was another popular song, first introduced in 1939. It was originally written for a musical as well. Won an Academy Award for Best Original Song. But over the years, of course, many different artists picked it up, played it, but Doris Day had the biggest hit in '51 when she sang it with the Harry James Orchestra. So here we go with our version of Lullaby of Broadway. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Our next song was written by Irving Berlin in 1935 for a movie that starred Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers called Top Hat, and it quickly became a standard of the American songbook. So here we go with Cheek to Cheek.
Yeah, the Wally Gingers Orchestra is always interested in promoting the arts, and that includes passing this style of music on to the younger generations. So I'd like to invite one of my young trumpet students up here. Her name's Monica Benz. She's with the Southmoreland Marching Band, and she's going to come in and set in for a couple of numbers.
All right. Now, while she's getting set up here, I'm going to talk a little bit about our next tune. For some of you who may not know who Wally Gingers is, I'm going to talk a little bit about the man. He was the original band leader of this orchestra, started in 1939, and played all through the years, all through this area, traveled to New York, Chicago, Philadelphia area, all through this area here as well. When I was about, 11 or 12, I joined the band and became his drummer and played with him up until 1990 when he passed away. And we have roots here in Connellsville. Wally Gingers was also known as George Teich, and he was a school teacher for the Connellsville School District. So some of you who remember that name, yeah, that's the same person. George Teich was Wally Gingers. And After he passed away, the band, we broke up and music was put into storage, and that was that. But about 7 or 8 years ago, we decided to give it another try, and we pulled his music out of storage and rounded up these great guys here you see, and we started having some dances, some concerts, some performances, and before you know it, here we are playing before you all tonight. So I'm hoping that you're liking his music. The interesting thing about Wally Gingers was that he wrote all of his own arrangements. He didn't buy any stock arrangements for the most part. I think most of the music you're hearing tonight were all arranged by Wally Gingers himself. And our next selection is actually one of his original compositions. He wrote this song, and we're going to play that for you now. This is called What Are All These Kisses Worth? Here we go.
Sun rays kiss the earth, moonbeams kiss the sea. But what are all these kisses worth if you do not kiss me? Mountains kiss the sky, birds kiss in a tree. But what are all these kisses worth if you do not kiss me? Like these were planned by laws divine, I'm sure your lips were meant for mine. Since nature gave its recipe, what could be more heavenly? Kisses rule the earth, kisses on the spree. But what are all these kisses worth if you do not kiss me? Like these were planned by laws divine, I'm sure your lips were meant for mine. Since nature gave its recipe, what could be more heavenly? Kisses rule the earth, kisses on the spree. But what are all these kisses worth if you do not kiss me? Thank you.
So Wally himself was in the Army in World War II, and as a family member of a veteran, I can so appreciate what those people do as they volunteer to serve our country. So our next tune is going to be a tribute to those who have served. And if you are a veteran, or if you're currently serving, or if you're a family member of a veteran and you want to honor your family member, please stand or raise your hand so we can acknowledge you as the appropriate song for your military branch comes up here, okay? So here we go with our tribute to our veterans with our military song. Here. Go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Go ahead, you can applaud. How about a final round of applause, please, for those who stood or waved? Thank you so much. Thank you. Our next selection is a song that was made famous by Doris Day back in 1958. Became a pretty good hit for her. The song is noted for its counterpoint melody. You'll hear it in the second part of the song. It fits the same chords and harmonies. Here we go with our vocal version of "Everybody Loves a Lover." All right, here we go. We're good? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Everybody loves a lover. I am a lover and everybody loves me. Anyhow, that's how I feel. Wow, I feel just like a Pollyanna. I should worry, not for nothing. Everybody loves me. Yes, they do, and I love everybody since I fell in love with you. Who's the most popular personality? I can't help thinking it's no one else but me. Gee, I feel just about 10 feet tall, having a ball. Guess you might call me a Pollyanna. I should worry, not for nothing. Who's the most popular personality? I can't help thinking it's no one else but she. Gee, I feel just about 10 feet tall. I'm having a ball. Guess you might call me a Pollyanna. I should worry, not for nothing. Everybody loves me. Yes, they do. And I love everybody since I fell in love with you. Thank you. I don't know what a Pollyanna is, but I guess I'm one. Yes. Let's have a round of applause for Monica Benz here. She did a great job here today. Thank you, Monica.
She's good.
Our next selection is a song that became popular in the first half of the 20th century. It's one of the hit songs that really typified the roaring 20s, became a Tin Pan Alley standard. And so many people have had hits with this song over the years. But Wally's version has the band singing, and you can sing along. So when you hear the band, you can join right in. Here we go with Ain't She Sweet. One, two, three, four.
Sweet, see her coming down the street. Now I ask you very confidentially, ain't she sweet? Ain't she nice? Look her over once or twice.
Our next tune was made, it was a pretty big hit for our favorite American band leader, Glenn Miller. Became popular in November of 1941. It was recorded by several other big bands of the time, but you know, Glenn Miller, he had the edge on this one. Here we go with our version of String of Pearls. Thank you, thank you. Our next tune was a popular song written and published in 1938. The first recording was by John Kirby, but it was also made famous by Chick Webb and his orchestra. If you know anything about Chick Webb, he had a bit of a jazz edge to him, right? So here we go with our version of Undecided. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, the band is going to take a short break just to wet our whistles. We'll be back in about 10 minutes or so. Please don't go far. We have a special surprise in the second half. We'll be back.
Zoom. For well over 2 decades, it's been the area's most reliable internet service. Guess what? It's also the fastest. Ask us about our unmatched download speeds. Share, post, tweet, stream, message, and keep in touch with friends and family no matter where they are. And our wireless network keeps your whole home connected to the internet no matter how many different devices you have. Call or visit us online and see the difference speed can make. The future is faster with Zoom.
We're going to start off with this half with a song that has its origins in the cafe of a famous place called the Hotel Pennsylvania in New York City. And in this cafe, in the hotel's cafe, many swing-era icons such as Benny Goodman, Dorsey Brothers, Artie Shaw, they all performed. And Glenn Miller, he was the biggest one who played the club more than anyone. And at the time, he was showcasing an instrumental tune. But his one of his publishers had said, hey, you need to put some lyrics to this tune. So he kind of came up, and somehow the phone number of the hotel seemed to fit the song perfectly. So thus the song became known as Pennsylvania 65000. And if you call the hotel to this day, it's the longest continuing phone number in New York City. You call the hotel, and Glenn Miller's recording of this song will come on first. You'll hear it when you're on hold. So here we go with our version of Pennsylvania 65000. Thank you. Thank you. Our next selection was a big hit for crooner Gene Austin when he was playing. He was accompanied by the Victor Orchestra, and it stayed at #1 for 13 weeks and was a pretty big seller for him. So here we go with our a version of My Blue Heaven. And again, if you know the lyrics, you can sing along with Jay.
Whippoorwills call, and evening is nigh. I hurry to my blue heaven. You turn to the right, find a little white light that'll lead you to my blue heaven. Hey, you'll see a smiling face, a fireplace, a cozy room, a little nest that nestles where the roses bloom. Just Molly and me, and baby makes 3. So happy in my blue, blue heaven. Thank you very much.
So I was saying in the first half about how Wally Gingers was the original band leader of this orchestra, and I think I failed to mention that the reason I decided to bring it around for everyone is because Wally was my dad. And it may surprise you, maybe not, that my daughter is also a drummer, and she is in this part of the state for a short while. And she never had the opportunity to really see or hear her grandfather's band. She was only 6 years old when he passed away, but she is here now, and we're going to give her the opportunity to play with her grandfather's band. So, Nicole, if you could come up, please, and if we could all encourage her, she's going to come up and play the next set for us, the next song. And while she's getting settled, a little bit about this song. This is a song that early versions had it as a slow, sentimental song, but by the late 30s, 40s, it took on an upbeat jazz tempo. So here we go with Wally's version of Sweet Sue.
How about a round of applause for Nikki Holmes? While she's leaving the stage, I'll take this opportunity to introduce the band to you. To my right on lead trumpet is Mr. Harry James Juljulis. He's from Bell Vernon. And to his right is Andy Giles from Bullskin Township. On the big Barry sax is Ray Leach from Greensburg. From Berlin's Somerset area is Gene Kennedy. And on lead saxophone and an original member of the Wally Gingers Orchestra is Richard McCoy from Uniontown. And speaking of original members, in the audience tonight is Claire's brother, Larry Teich. He's sitting over here, and he's an original member of the band. On second saxophone is Bill Manfredi from Washington, PA. On the piano is Karen Martin from Dunbar. And on the big bass fiddle is Del Yates from Jeanette. And Claire and we're from New Stanton, PA. Thank you very much.
All right. So, our next song was first sung by Carol Channing when she starred as Dolly Gallagher Levi in the original 1964 Broadway musical called Hello, Dolly. And prior to the opening of the show, when it debuted on Broadway, they approached Louis Armstrong and had him record a version of this big song from the musical. And they were going to use it to promote the show. And actually, he won his own Grammy for this version of the song. And also, Frank Sinatra had a pretty good rendition of it as well. Here we go with our version. Hello, Dolly. Thank you so much. It's kind of getting dark out there, and it's hard to see people, but I hear you're out there, so that's good. All right, our next song was originally written in the late 20s for a Broadway show, but so many different artists had hit over the years with it. But Aretha Franklin, Ella Fitzgerald, Billie Holiday, just to name a few. Here we go with our instrumental version of Lover, Come Back to Me. The wind is wreaking havoc with our music. It's blowing all over the page, so hopefully it doesn't come through out there. Our next tune was a popular song with the original version in the late 30s, performed by Larry Clinton and his orchestra. And it's been tackled by many different artists and groups over the years with just as many different genres of music. There's some swing, jazz, rock, rhythm and blues. The musical format of this song is often simplified as a repeating progression. It's taught to beginning piano students as an easy two-hand duet, Heart and Soul. If you took piano, you've played this song with a friend. So here we go with our version of Heart and Soul.
heart and soul. I fell in love with you, heart and soul, the way a fool would do madly, because you held me tight and stole a kiss in the night, heart and soul. I begged to be adored, lost control, and tumbled overboard gladly. That magic night we kissed there in the moon mist. Oh, but your lips were thrilling, much too thrilling. Never before were mine so strangely willing. But now I see what one embrace can do. Look at me, it's got me loving you madly. That little kiss you stole held all my heart and soul. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Our next selection is the theme song from a movie in the 70s that starred Liza Minnelli, and it became a pretty big hit for her, but it very closely remains associated with Frank Sinatra, who recorded this song several years later. It's New York, New York. And just for a little bit of trivia, if you don't know, after the ball is dropped on New Year's Eve in Times Square, they sing Old Lang Syne, and then they blast Frank Sinatra's version of New York, New York from the speakers for everyone to enjoy as a tribute to the city. So here we go, New York, New York.
Let's go.
Should be the next one. Jim, it's the next one. All right, our next tune was a popular song that was composed by Glenn Miller, and it was an immediate phenomenon when it was first released in May of 1939 as an instrumental arrangement, and it was adopted as Glenn Miller's signature tune. And it was his version of this song was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. So here we go with Moonlight Serenade, featuring Bill Manfredi on the clarinet feature. Moonlight Serenade. Ready, Bill? Yep. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Our next selection, the earliest recordings of this next tune were actually from the 20s, so you hear a little bit of a Charleston sound to it, but many big bands over the years had hits with it. More recent groups have actually performed it with a New Orleans type jazz influence, but you know, Wally, he liked those good swing tunes, so he took this number and put it as a great jump tune. So here we go with Mama's Gone, Goodbye.
Oh, yeah. We'll be okay.
Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you. Thank you. All right, our next tune was a hit in the early 40s. It was an instrumental recorded by Benny Goodman and his orchestra. And a great hit. Here we go with Jersey Bounce.
Okay.
Here we go. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you. Thank you so much. We have had a wonderful time playing here for you today. I hope you've enjoyed the music and hum along to a tune or two. It's that time of night, though, when we're going to play our last selection. And this is a great tune. It was a Woody Herman hit, great jazz standard. It was one of his biggest selling records. Here we go with the Wood Chopper's Ball. And thank you so much for coming tonight. We really appreciate it. Oh.
Five. Yeah. No, but that's okay. I know it. I have it memorized.
Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Thank you so much. Connellsville, you were wonderful, wonderful. We hope we can come back next year. Have a safe trip home, everyone. Good night. Good
Thank
night.
you.
Healing Heroes is an opportunity for Armstrong and our communities to give back. We've partnered with Guardian Angels Medical Service Dogs, which rescues, raises, and individually trains the highest caliber service and assistance dogs at their facility in Williston, Florida. They are then paired with veterans with disabilities such as PTSD, seizure disorders, and more. If you would like to help, visit facebook.com/ArmstrongOneWire and click the Healing Heroes tab. Together, we can unleash the power to heal.